Hawaii, 1893 monarchy, overthrown island. Y'all, bear with me. Hawaii, 1893, the monarchy was overthrown. The island was annexed. Why? For sugar profits. Pacific military foothold. Yeah, not to expand democracy. Cuba, 1898, war won, government controlled. Why? Caribbean dominance. Philippines, 1898, Spanish ruled, replacement, independence movement crushed. Why? Empire building, markets, military reach. Puerto Rico, 1898 to present, taken from Spain, colonial rule imposed. Why? Strategic Caribbean control. Nicaragua, 1909, government toppled, country occupied. Why? Banking, mining, shipping interests. Haiti, 1915 to 1934, country occupied. This is all by the USA, folks. Finances controlled. Why? Debt collection, banking interests, regional control. Dominican Republic, 1916, 1924, 1965. USA occupied it twice. Civil conflict shaped by USA. Why? Protect the USA interests, control political outcomes. Honduras, early 1900s, leaders replaced by the USA, coups influenced. Why? Banana profit. Yeah, labor control. Mexico, 1914, Veracruz seized during revolution. Why? To maintain influence, to shape regional power. Iran, 1953, the democratically elected government was overthrown by the USA. Why? For oil. Cold War strategy, whatever. Guatemala, 1954, CIA-backed coup removed the elected leader. That's the USA did that. Why? Protect corporate interests, stop land reform. In other words, don't take money away from American corporations. Congo, DRC, 1960. They overpowered their government there. Why? Minerals, anti-communism. Brazil, 1964, military coup was supported by the USA. Why? Bloc leftist reforms. Chile, 1970, governments destabilized, coup followed. Why? Copper. Money, corporate interest. Cambodia, 1970, massive bombing campaign. The government collapsed. Why? The Vietnam War strategy, anti-communism, supposedly. Afghanistan, 1979 to 2021, regimes armed, toppled, and replaced. Why? Cold War rivalry. Yeah, because Russia, post 9/11 power projection. That's right. That started that whole shit. Grenada, 1983, country invaded, government removed. Why? Regional dominance. Panama, 1989 invasion, removed Noriega. Why? Canal security, supposedly strategic control. Nicaragua, 1981, Contras armed against elected government. Why? Rollback leftist movements. Yeah. Iraq, 1991, 2003, war invasion, regime overthrown. Why? For oil. Haiti, 2004, the government was forced out by the USA and restructured. Why? To preserve elite-friendly political order. Libya, 2011, regime destroyed through NATO intervention led by the USA. Why? Regional influence and regime change. Venezuela, 2026, Maduro removed from power. Why? Supposedly oil, regime change, regional influence. Iran, 2026, strikes targeted at leadership and state infrastructure. Why? Weaken geopolitical rival. And yet, people believe in the America that they sold us back in the 1970s. The problem is that America never actually existed. It was a story. It was a folklore, a fairy tale. Just like the myth that you too can become a billionaire, or trickle down economics really works, or money is the root of all evil, or ain't nothing wrong with being poor, when the truth is that being broke is expensive. And yet they're out here starting shit all around the world constantly, but they don't have money for healthcare. They don't have money for SNAP. They don't have money to feed these kids. Over here, we're about the spirit of Sankofa, right? So I gotta say, if you don't know the real history, you can't understand the. and why they're trying so, so desperately to continue the atrocities while telling us that we are not getting.
For now that you know, I want to ask you one question. Are you staying in the U.S. for your children? Or are you staying in the U.S. for your grandchildren? And why? Why? Why would you want them to grow up in a system that hides their history and right now trying to erase their history and profits from their struggle?
Right? So put this in the chat. What age were you when you realized America wasn't the America that you were taught? Were you 10 years old? Were you 20 years old? Were you 40 years old? Or were you 60 plus? Or are you just now starting to question it? Let us know. And if you're watching from the future, hey, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments. When did you wake up?
So today we're going to talk about two things. First, the myth of American innocence. And second, the poverty penalty. Why being poor in America is more expensive than being rich. And we're going to connect those two things together because they aren't separate issues.
No.
They are the same issues. One is the story and the other is the invoice.
That's right. So we're going to get started. Hey, y'all. My name's Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money, travel, and life abroad. We help folks who look like us, who are getting close to retirement age and forgot to plan, get their money straight so that you can retire on time or maybe even early.
And abroad ain't bad either.
Abroad's not. So, for those of you who may not know, back in 2018, Rick and I got a wake up call. We looked at our money, y'all, and it looked crazy. It did. But we went from negative 22,000 over 1.1 million in net worth. And y'all, we retired, moved to Portugal, and have helped hundreds of people build their own exit strategy. So if we can do it, you can do it too. Right?
Did I say it was crazy?
Yeah.
Did I say it was crazy? You said it was crazy. Did I say it was crazy, y'all?
It was cray. It was cray. I was wondering where was my backup man? What was going on?
I'm used to having you by my side, baby.
I know. So you guys know
Not
I'm
just
still
on
dealing with
screen.
this broken leg. And so I am in our bedroom because it's too crowded in the office for me to have my leg propped up. Y'all, this is how dedicated I am to our community. So if you think that I should remain dedicated and keep coming back and sharing whatever we know, even with this broken leg, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat. Hit that notification bell twice so that you know every single time that we go live. Like it, please, because YouTube's still tripping. YouTube is still tripping. So we need you to hype this video. If you're watching from the future, we need you to share this video with anyone that you know needs this information. If you're watching from Substack, hey, Substack folks. And if you are watching from LinkedIn, good to see you on LinkedIn. Let us know in the comments over there where you are logging into. Okay, we're going to get right into it before we say hello to the folks who are in the chat. We know we're going to say hello to our channel members and everyone else. If you are a channel member, thank you so much. We appreciate all of your support. We appreciate all of the love and support we got behind the scenes. You guys are incredible. You are our family. And this was an ancillary benefit of doing this we didn't anticipate. We appreciate you. All right, let's talk about the myth of American innocence. Y'all, these people, and it's interesting because some of this stuff I've known all along. I've known a lot of this stuff. All of those things that I read off to you, I've known 70 to 80% of it all along. But I still bought in to that we're the good guys thing. Even though I knew those facts. right? So you heard the timeline. And believe me, it's incomplete. It is incomplete, right?
Some parts of history were taught more than other parts, and they weren't telling the truth when they told them. They were
That
telling a
part.
big fat ass
That
lie.
lie, right? And they've got we black folks believing in that BS. We already know that part of our that most of our history was erased from well, not from from our memory, right? But it's not taught. It's not taught to the masses. They act like our history is not American history. And that is all by design. That is all by design. Just like they don't teach how a lot of men got through school by their stay-at-home wives doing their term papers for them. But then they act like
Mm,
white men know so much, right? Right? All the lies, all the myths about America. And yet we still hear black folks talking, hanging on, talking about they don't want to go anywhere. And it's so interesting because you hear white people talk over and over and over again about how their great grandparents came from Europe, right? Or came from, and we hear it from POCs too, especially the ones who were not running away from war, right? They came with not a dime in their pocket and this and that and the other and blue, blue. And we listen to these stories. Especially from white folks, we listen to these stories, but we never think, what were they leaving? And they were coming to America for a better life. Well, we know that life in America is not necessarily better. We are living proof of that. But we never take the time to stop and think.
no.
These people were leaving a place where they were in the majority, going to a place where they were going to be in the minority. Because remember, when they arrived, they weren't white. When they arrived, they were French. When they arrived, they were Irish, right? They were Italian. They were German. They were not white.
That's right.
So they left where they were the majority to come be in the minority for a better life. And it never occurs to Black people to do the same thing because we're holding on to the myth of America. Now that you know the facts, now that you know why they hate us, now that you know how diabolical America is, how evil it is, obsessed with money and capitalism it is, the expense of human life, the arrogance. Why are you staying? Why are you staying?
And the thing is, too, I mean, real change starts with honesty. We've been lied to so long that we just accept it and go on our merry way. Now it's getting ready to
Right?
bite us in the ass. It is biting us in the ass. It's not
It
getting
is
ready.
biting us. It is biting us. The leopards are eating their faces. The leopards are eating their faces because they thought it would never affect them, right? They thought it would never affect them. And yet, here we are. And white folks are getting a wake up call. And here's the thing, maybe America is becoming something brand new. That would be good. Like at this
It would be
point,
great.
I don't know what's happening with the money. And that's one of my main concerns. Actually, it's my only concern is the money. Why do I say that when I have family there? Because I can get my family out, but I can't get my family out if I don't have the money. That's why. That's why, right? But
Yeah.
maybe it's becoming something new, or maybe it's becoming something many of us have never learned it always was. Mm? But
You
we've
think
got to
we can
stop
look at
holding
that?
on to the America that never existed. We have got to see the America that. Were you saying, sweets?
I said, do you think they were waking up to that? It just reminds me of the Spike Lee movie, School Days, when Mr. Lawrence Fishburne just yells it out.
Yeah,
We need to wake up.
yeah.
We need to wake
We need
up.
to wake up. And I look at it like I look at America so much differently now that we've been gone for 4 years, right? It looks different. Again, the majority of those facts that I read off at the beginning of the video, right? I knew most of that stuff, but it never clicked. I still had America as being the good guy. I knew when 9/11 happened that we had something to do, that our hands weren't clean, but I figured our hands were cleaner than theirs, and they're not. As a matter of fact, they're filthier than most of the other governments on the planet. Okay, so what are you holding on to? All right, let's say hello to the folks who are in the chat, and then we will continue on. We want to know what you guys are thinking about. Dr. Nash says, I already know the content will be fire. I'm the first like today. Thank you, Dr. Nash. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Hey, Bobby, we've got Dr. James is in the house, and Tina. If you are just now tuning in, y'all, we've got to wake up. We have got to wake up to the real America. Okay. So hit like as you come in and say hello in the chat. Hey, Karen Louise, healing vibes to beautiful Halisi. Hello, Rick and the OBU family. We appreciate you, Karen Louise, Shanora, Allison Rowe. Now, see, some of these folks we done seen behind the scenes, because if you are a member of the channel, we hang out behind the scenes in a private Zoom call. And they get to hear stuff that I can't be saying, we can't be saying online, right? So if you want, if you want to hang out with us, and get your questions answered, become a channel member. Hey, Gwen and Derek, love you guys so much. CK, love you. Dr. Sanji, Lisa Jackson, all of us were hanging out backstage. Yeah, basically. Hey, Greta, everybody show Greta some love. She is by herself because the beautiful Action VJ is on vacation. Again, he's out there in them international streets. Angie is in the house. Shara J, Rhonda, I shouldn't be telling people's names. Housing retiree, Grog FB20. Is there something to that name? Is there something there, or did you just pick some letters? I'm not being facetious. If there's some little, like the license plate, I want to make sure that I'm getting it right. That's all. Crystal Woodward. Okay. Hey, you guys. Thank you. Yes. Beyond the Bling. All of this stuff. If you are hearing this and money is the issue, it's like, oh yeah, well, it must be nice, because we get this in the chat. Not the chat. The chat is the family. the chat is the family, but we get this in the comments. It must be nice. Well, it's nice for you guys because you two are a couple and you da-da-da-da, but I don't get Social Security. I'm still too young for another few months. I'm still too young, right? So I say that to say, uh-oh.
Did you hear me?
Uh-oh, let me close some stuff out. Yeah, I can hear you. You guys let us know in the chat how it's going. I'm going to close some stuff out and see if that helps. Does that help? Am I
seems like you cleared up. Yeah.
Did I clear up? Okay, I'm closing everything, and I'll just have to figure out where I was later. All right, you guys. Sorry about that. We're live, y'all. We're live. When I saw the National Guard marching down my street in Memphis, what they are doing in Tennessee is a travesty. It is like you can't make this stuff. They are saying the quiet part out loud. They're not even hiding it anymore. If you are not paying attention to what is going on in Tennessee, you need to be. Why? You're saying, well, y'all live in Portugal. What does that have to do with you? Because I keep telling you, our money is in the United States. And for now, our family is in the United States. And whoever controls the house is going to have some influence over my life. And so what they are doing in Tennessee affects me. And it affects you as well,
Yeah.
whether you know it or not, right? Okay. Are we still blurry? Let's see
Still
what's going
breaking
on.
up. Still breaking up.
No, it's saying Rick is frozen, not me. Alicia is good. Rick is blurry.
Really?
Yeah. So figure out what's going on with your computer. So, but yeah, right. That's the thing. That is the thing. So we have to make sure that even when we move abroad, that we do not totally disconnect. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be like me and be watching this stuff entirely too much. You just have to continue to watch Our Black Utopia, and we will keep you updated on the geopolitical ramifications that will affect you and your life abroad, right? We cannot put our heads in the sand. All right, I'm marking these questions, you guys. That's what I'm doing.
Mark some of them for you.
Thank you, baby. And the so-called news media is propaganda machine for the CIA and our government. We do not even have real corporate media anymore. Okay, my dad cut his teeth in at NBC in the news, and it was a totally different beast back then. I'm not going to get into it, but suffice it to say, we had laws back then to make sure that news was as newsy as it could be, and that there was no corporate influence. And those laws have since, and regulations have since gone by the wayside, and that is by design. They have slowly been eroding all of the things that it takes to have a healthy democracy. And because we have been living in it, we're acting like frogs in a pot, in a boiling pot, right? But they've been doing this since the 70s. Since we got a true democracy in 1965, from that moment on, they have been trying to figure out a way to dismantle a multicultural democracy. They never wanted it. They never wanted women to vote, quiet as it's kept, much less black folks. Much less black folks, right? Hey, we got to keep it real, because America sold us a bill of goods that is keeping us, that bill of goods is keeping us mentally enslaved to a country that does not serve us well. It's keeping us enslaved to a country that does not serve us. And so instead of being like the white people who came to America so that their family would have a better life, and then so-and-so followed, and then so-and-so followed, and then so-and-so followed, instead of doing that, you just gonna stay your black behind in the fire with Big Mama and them because your grandbabies are there, as opposed to blazing a new trail and saying, if you don't get my grandbabies out of that hellhole, that's what you should be doing. If you don't get my babies out of that hellhole. Because it is. I was in my 20s when I realized the things I'd heard were true. Weren't true. Parents sheltered us, so we weren't aware of all that we had gone through. And see, I think some parents believe that they are doing kids a favor,
Right,
by not telling them, right? But I don't believe that. And I certainly didn't do that to Jabari. And now Jabari didn't even get to believe in Santa Claus, y'all. I said if you want to believe that some fat white man is bringing you special gifts in this house, oh, hell to the no. Hell to the no. Ain't no fat white man bringing you okay? So yeah, Jabari never got to believe in Santa Claus. I woke up a long time ago back while I was in Japan during the 90s, but I just didn't have a power boost to Exodus till 2021. Well, we all know, right? Like, especially if you were in the military, I've been looking for real remote work since. Yeah. If you were in the military, you have some idea of what is possible in general, right? But some of us still don't think it's possible for ourselves. And that has got to stop. No broken leg will stop you. You got that right. You got that right. No, America has never been innocent. It hasn't, right? It has never been innocent. We appreciate you all. We really do. We really do. So Angie says she's thankful to have attended an HBCU. Yeah, if you attended a predominantly white university institution, you had to go out of your way to learn some of this stuff. Now, y'all know I was raised by Sister Souljah and Malcolm X, so I learned a lot. Like even the whole thing with Israel and Gaza. Like my father has been on preaching that my whole life, my whole entire life. So I've always known at least the basics that Israel's hands were not clean. And not only were Israel's hands not clean, Europe and USA's hands were not clean because they just went in and started drawing lines again. Right? So and that's the thing. The oppressors have been writing the history book. So I don't know how many of you have read Howard Zinn, but if you haven't, you should. It's a fun because he takes it from the oppressor's point of view. The history of the world, the history of the United States. I don't know what else he's written, but most libraries have it. All right, let's get back to it, and then we'll come back to your comments. Point 2, the poverty penalty. Let's talk about what happens after the myth, Ricky, right? Because this is when we were talking about what was going on with me, and this was an accident, it was not planned. In order to get myself out of that public situation, I had to, we had to come up off of $5,200 right there on the spot, right?
Mhm.
And so, I just started thinking, and we said, being poor is expensive.
Very.
It's expensive, right? And so when you know the history of America, right, and you know all of the crap that we have done around the world, creating poor people all around the world, and now you see what's happening here, it's always been profits before people. It has always been like that in America, right? And so when you think about it, I want you to think about how much it costs to be poor. Some of you guys already know this, like banking, for instance. Traditional banking is almost non-existent in some neighborhoods. It's almost non-existent. That's supposed to be against the law, but somebody's got to be checking. And we know the Mellon Felons administration ain't checking jack squat, right? So a lot of our neighborhoods don't have traditional banks. A lot of poor folks are unbanked. They do not have banks. And so what do they use? They use cash checking places. That's expensive. Right? Have you used one? Sweetheart, have you ever used one of those places? I have.
No.
I have. I used it when I was going through a civil suit, and they had attached my bank account. So I get it. And let's just say a $500 check, and they're taking like $35, $50 away from you. That's 10%.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You got
to let us know in the chat.
Folks that ain't got no money or less money, you pay more in fees, you pay higher prices. It costs you a lot more to get those things that may look like they're easy to obtain for you. They create it for you like that. So it's easy to obtain. Oh, that's nothing. I could pay $50 a week back, or, You know,
right?
that
Loans are more expensive.
the one thing that I did do one time, and you know those buy to rent places, you go and you know you want that TV, and you go and it's like what they charge you $100 or $50 a week, or you know something like that, kind of a lower price. But when you calculate all that stuff up, when you finish paying for it, if you finish paying for it, you're paying like twice the price of what it costs.
Sometimes 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the amount. They get you with those rent to buy places, right? And things like that. Insurance is more expensive, right? When you're poor, they gouge you, right? Transportation becomes a major part of your budget, inordinate amount. Food becomes an inordinate amount. Unless you're poverty, 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 and you can get on Medicaid, right? Healthcare becomes a big chunk. But the thing about it is, this is how I'm going to give you an example of how being poor is expensive. And this is why we harp on the money so much, you guys. This is why. Because when things like this happen, I'm pointing to my broken leg that I got propped up. You want to be in a position not to have to do the things that some people have to do. So I remember it was during the hands up, don't shoot, hands up, those protests, and I was reading about what was going on in that wasn't Minneapolis, that was Missouri, wasn't that Missouri? I think it was.
Yes, don't
And
shoot.
and so I would hear the stories of why the Black folks there were so friggin' frustrated. So listen to this. You are an hourly worker, right? um and this is how they use the law, and they use these things to just gouge and keep us enslaved, you all. Okay, this is by design. Okay, so you're an hourly worker, but this county, the where you live in unincorporated BFE, they have decided that all civil things, you must show up in court in person, no online paying, nothing, nothing, nothing. So you get a parking ticket or a moving violation, you must show up in court. But you work hourly. So now you got to take time off and sit in the court because you just get a time frame. You don't get an appointment, right? And you're not getting paid because you're not at work. Don't let your car have been impounded. Right? So now you show up, or it has been impounded and you take public transportation, and for some reason the buses are late and you show up late, and now you can't have your trial. So they reschedule you. So now you got to take more time off of work. But now the ticket is late. So now there's fees on top of that. And the fees are not like, oh, it's a $10 late fee. No. What these counties do is they do like $50, $75, something crazy, with the most amount that they can get away with.
Yeah.
And so if you have money, and if you have a salary job, taking that time off is no big deal. You know, you drive there, you get your stuff out of impoundment because you've got the money, you show up on time, you pay it, it's over. It's an inconvenience, but it's whatever. But it starts to be this whole big thing when money is the issue and you ain't got it.
I've seen someone have to go to court or sat in a court and watched this happen. Sat in a court and somebody came to court, but they came late because
Yep.
the bus was running late.
Yep.
And by the time they got there, the judge had issued a bench warrant because they had so much time to get there.
No show. They were basically a no show.
They were a no show. And walked in the courtroom, ran in the courtroom just a couple minutes later, and was arrested because he had a bench warrant out.
It's expensive to be poor, you guys. So when you see Jeff Bezos on the news talking about you can tax me another billion, but what's that going to do? That doesn't mean the teacher's going to be making any more money. He's got a lot of damn nerve. It's a lot of that. I don't think the average person realizes how much money a billion is. Okay, the average person is never going to make a billion. A million, yes. A million is doable by the average person. It really is. We can show you how. But a billion, that's on another level. And so the wealthy, while the poor are getting just hammered, the wealthy are getting discounts. The poor get fees, the wealthy get discounts. The wealthy show up and they get free bump ups. Like, make that make sense. Why are you giving the free stuff away to the rich people? Right? They can borrow money more cheaply. They don't pay any taxes because they don't have any income, because they borrow money against their assets to live on, and then they pay it back. And so they have no earned income. And so they're not paying any taxes. It's disgusting, but that is what is happening. And that is what is happening in the country that too many Black Americans are holding on to. I'm going to fight. You ain't going to drive me out of this country. The wealthy buy in bulk, the poor buy in survival mode.
Yeah. Because they're in survival
Right?
mode all the time.
Right? Being poor in America, you all, is expensive. It is expensive. Okay, I'm trying to get back to the comments. Are you marking them, sweets?
Marking them, yeah.
I'm staying because I'm an only child to an elderly mother. I'm an only child to an elderly mother too. I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied tonight. I am. We were talking to a client yesterday, who was in that same situation as well. And I'm not going to tell you what to do, because every circumstance is different, right? Every circumstance, and far be it from me, I don't know your world, but I do know for me that when my mom was thinking straight, she would say things like, I did this so that you could fly, right? That I don't want to be a burden. That I want you to do everything in life that you can do. Now, when it came close to me leaving at first, she wasn't singing that tune. She was not singing that tune. I'm gonna be honest, but I found her a private home with someone whom I trust that does this for a living. And so it doesn't feel like she's in an institution because it's a private home. This woman takes her people on cruises. Okay, my mom went on 3 cruises in 12 months. Yes, yes. So she's doing okay. She's doing okay. And so my latest thing is I just finally, she lost her little stupid flip phone. So I bought her a smartphone so that we can FaceTime more often. So this is what I do. And you've got to decide what is best for you. But I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. If 20 years from now you look back and you see that it would have been okay for you to leave, will you regret it? Will you regret it? Because my grandmother, she transitioned on at 102 years old. So if I waited around until she transitioned on, I wouldn't have a life, right? I would have to rethink what would make me happy and have to recalibrate that and find the joy in the situation. But it would be difficult. It would be difficult because I've never wanted to stay in the United States, ever. I've never felt American, never truly American. They didn't let us, right? They didn't let us feel American. I think some of our family parents looked to their children as their retirement plan. That too is true. The children are not in a position to retire themselves. And that's why we talk about what we talk about at our Black Utopia, y'all. For that very reason. Start having
Mhm.
these conversations now if you haven't already had them. I know that they're uncomfortable. You may think your parents have all their stuff together. And you, if you're like me, you be in for a rude awakening, okay? Okay? And you may find yourself between a rock and a hard place. Don't be like me. Do not be like me. Okay? My father had some good pensions, but I thought he had some life insurance that he must have let lapse in his early dementia and stuff. I don't know. I remember signing some papers and stuff, but then I couldn't find it, right? And we never got anything in the mail or any warnings or anything. It's look, y'all, have these conversations. People like to stick their heads in the sand because they don't like to be uncomfortable, but they don't understand that they've always been uncomfortable. We have gotten used to living and being uncomfortable our whole lives. There is no way you're going to tell me that you are an African American, that you are a Black American, and that you're comfortable living in America. You're just used to being uncomfortable because they don't let us be comfortable in America. They will not let you. People, if they're building detention camps, why are them MFs still in there? Why aren't they gone? Why are they still holding these people? And when they are gone, who are they going to fill them with? They are not building these things temporarily. They're taking over buildings and stuff. Who are they going to fill these buildings with? I know who they're not going to fill them with, me and mine. That's who they're not going to. I know who they plan to fill them with because their brand, their version of capitalism only works when there is poverty. It only works when there is a slave class, okay? And
True.
somebody's got to do it. And they've gotten rid of the immigrants. That was the slave class. That was the people that they could pay under the table and pay them slave wages. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay? Now they've gotten rid of the late 20th century, early 21st century slaves. Now who's next? Who's next? Do not sit there and think that they are building those buildings and intend for them to stay empty. These are private prisons, y'all. People are making ka-ching, ka-ching money. And you build them to fill them. Holding on to the myth of America is one thing. Recognizing that the history doesn't match up with the myth, especially when it comes to Black people specifically, right? This has never been great for us, right? We know this. We know this. So stop holding on. Black people I know who are living in red states are waking up, but still are in denial. I just don't see how they are trusting God to fix it. Okay, we're going to lose some subscribers around here. Faith without works is dead. Some action has to be taken for God to move. We had this conversation last week or on Thursday. What today? On Thursday, didn't we? Didn't we? Well, I'm just trusting in God. I'm just trusting. That is the goofiest thing I've ever heard my whole entire life. Show me in the Bible where it says do nothing and just trust. Do absolutely nothing. So you see the house is on fire. I'm just trusting on God. While the house is on fire? Really? People, we don't have time for this. I'm concerned about the money too. Yes, we are the ones that gave America its reputation because our ancestors tried to make them live up to who they said they were. Right on point, Angie. Right? We are the ones who made America come close to living up to what it said it was on paper. We were America's conscience, and we've decided to sit down until they took away our voting rights. Now we have to show up. We have to show up in such amazing numbers. If I hear of one person tell me in November of 2026, the day after the election, that they didn't vote, said, you better not. You better not. It's a modern day civil war the South has been planning for years. The South has still not come to terms. They still have not come to terms with the fact that they lost that damn war. And why should they? Why should they have to come to terms when the United States government capitulated back in the 1800s, right? They effed up Reconstruction back then. So now here we are back in damn Reconstruction, right? They don't have to believe that they lost the war because the government capitulated. We never got our 40 acres and a mule, right? Never did. They're putting up monuments and everything else and finding a way to recreate slavery without the overhead. So now they don't have to buy slaves. They can just rent them from the prison system. Woohoo! Everybody wins. Everybody wins. This is the America, Black folks, that you are protecting. The America that still had a human being enslaved and did not tell him he was free in the 1970s. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I am lying. The industries that profit from our community's poverty, the industries that profit from evil, from systems that were created to keep us broke, poor, depressed, oppressed, right? Financially desperate, payday lenders. Let me take,
Earn more money when people are more desperate.
right? Auto title lenders. Ricky, what were you just talking about? Rent to own stores, bail
Rent-to-own
bond
stores.
companies, right? For profit prisons, we were just talking about, right? The rent to own stores we were just talking about. I remember those commercials. Buy now, pay later companies. And you see all of the buy now, pay later fintech companies that are popping up online now. Because the brick and mortar is dying. So now they've just switched and now they're online. Now, you can pay for your Uber Eats over time and make payments on your Uber Eats. People, if you don't wake the hell up, credit card companies charging 29% interest. Biden put a cap on the amount of interest. Your president, the melon felon, erased it. But Biden didn't do anything. Sleepy Joe, right? Right? Subprime auto lenders, predatory landlords, health insurance middlemen, right? Student loan servicers that are charging that have variable rates on a student loan, and you're paying 10%, 11%, 12% on a student loan to go to Trump University, where your loan ain't worth shit anyway, right? And they don't tell us about all of these for-profit so-called universities where the paper is not worth shit. You get a BA from some online something or other, and then you try to get a master's from a traditional school, and they're like, they don't recognize that bachelor's degree. And they don't tell us. And they let all of these schools come and recruit at the high schools in our communities. And they saddle them with all of these loans. These people are cleaning up. They are cleaning up because it is expensive to be poor. Not only is it expensive, it's dangerous. Did you notice that the only people who have to register for the draft are the people who fill out the FAFSA, the people who fill out for student aid? So if you're rich and you don't fill out the FAFSA, you don't have to sign up. See how they do? Yet there were no fees for universities for the most part until we started going, until they allowed us, we forced the law to make us, to make them allow us to go. And then they started charging tuition, trying to keep us out that way, because there always has to be a poll tax for Black folks in America. And yet some of you are still in our comments talking about you ain't going nowhere. Your ancestors did A, B, and C, and so you ain't going nowhere. But you're okay. But you kind of like learn and elevate the white people who left Europe to come to America. You applaud that, but you don't want to leave your own hellhole and find
No.
paradise. Tell me that your mind is not colonized. Please. As they profit from your desperation, right? All of these industries making goob gobs of money. The Dow's at 50,000, right? All making, they're poverty pimps. That's what they are. They are poverty pimps. They are profiting from your desperation. The poverty penalty is not a bug. It's the system. It's the system. Believe me when I tell you, it is the business model. Now think about the version of the United States that we have been sold. And think about when you go through our neighborhoods, all you see is check cashing places, payday loans, and liquor stores and churches, which pay no taxes. This is how these folks are making money. They're making money off of our oppression. And we're still holding on to an America that never existed. Okay, let's see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, but before I go to that, I'm just going to bring up this final point, and then we'll go and we'll talk about the cost of staying in America. And then we'll get to the money. We'll get to the money. We'll get to the solution, you guys. We got a solution. This is not all doom and gloom. There is a solution. Because I was on the phone with my childhood friend yesterday. She is my son's god mom, and she had some surgery relatively recent too. Now all her stuff is covered because she has one of them good government jobs. Okay. But I was talking to her. I said, and I told her, I said, I was in the hospital for, sweetheart, 6 days. He's freezing again. Ricky, you're freezing again. I was in the hospital for like 6 days, and, private room, the whole 9 yards. And I said, guess how much it cost? And she said, I don't know, $25,000, $30,000. And I said, no, it only cost $5,200. I said, now we're probably going to get reimbursed for some of that. I said, but if we don't get reimbursed, my whole cost for reconstructing my shattered leg was $5,200 or euros, a week in the hospital, et cetera, et cetera. And so when we walked out of the hospital, we weren't writing any more checks. We're not going to get any more bills in the mail or anything like that, right? And so she said to me, she said, you know what, Halisi, you said $5,200 like you just wrote a $50 check. That's the thing, right? That's what financial freedom looks like. That's the reality. That's not luxury, right? It's not luxury. It's not flexing. It's options. It's options that poor folks don't have, which is why we all need to have multiple income streams. right? With the nonsense that is going on, I hope that you now understand that we all need to have multiple income streams. Okay? All right. Sweetheart, you are still freezing. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to go to the comments and
I'm
your
gonna pull
and
myself up.
okay, cuz your sound is going in and out too. Okay. This is one good thing about being in separate rooms. Now we're on two different computers, so both hopefully both computers won't go out at the same time, right? Um, okay. Greta says it's modern day civil war. The South has been planning for you. Okay, we talked about that. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Allison was 9 years old when she realized that the United States was not all that it cracked up to be. Actually, I remember when I was, I'm going to take this out. I remember when I was 11 and we had to write this poem. I've told some of you guys this before, but so I would say it was 11 when I realized, because the poem that I wrote was why I was happy to be Black. And I related it to the difference between poison water and water that can be drank, water that's not toxic, water that goes over a lot of bumps, water that's running, that's bumped around over rocks and stones as it goes down the river. That's the clean water. It's the water that has been through something. The lake that is placid and looks peaceful and calm, that hasn't been through anything, is unpure. And so, in my mind, when I learned that science lesson in sixth grade, and then I was asked to do this other assignment, I related that unpure and because in my world, white folks had it easy. They didn't have no bumps in their lives like we did. They were like that placid lake, and which leads to impurities. When you get bumped around, it leads to pureness of the heart. So I knew at 11 years old that America was not what it said it was. So I was in my 20s when I realized the things I heard weren't true. Parents sheltered us. Okay, we read that one. First scouting trip is in September. Good. Glad for you. I woke up for a long time ago back while I was in Japan. Okay, we read that one. I thought I was started some of these. Okay, let me make sure I'm not repeating anything, because I thought I was sending them out. Okay, let's see. When I was in the National Guard, marching down my street in Memphis. Yeah, okay, I know I talked about that. So if you guys are not paying attention to the two state reps, one of the state reps is running for Congress, and they just took Memphis and split it up, right? Cracking. They call it cracking and stacking. They cracked Memphis. And so I don't know which district he's going to run in. Now, if there's a primary and he won the primary, he's probably pretty much guaranteed to win that seat, because it was a predominantly Black district. Now they split us all up. It's just a tragedy what they're doing. Okay, we talked about that. All right, question. Hello, both Rick and Halisi. I saw where single people with no one other than yourself, and your money was cray cray, and you had only $1,000 in your name. How would you leave the U.S.? Oh, okay. I would not. Okay. Here's the thing about leaving. It's two ways, right? You either have to have money in the bank or you have to have cash flow. So if all you have is $1,000, then I'm putting my stuff in one of my family members' garages, and I'm making sure that I have some kind of online job, 2 or 3 that I can depend on. And then I'm starting with the countries that have a very, very low cost of living. So you're talking about the countries in Southeast Asia or South America. That's how I would start. That's how I would start. Hey, Dennis, thank you, thank you, thank you. As y'all know, Dennis is always on point. I'm tired of Black folks saying we'll pray on it, right? While the evil whites continue raping and pillaging the U.S. and the rest of the world. I don't understand why they do not hold everyone to the same standard. Some of these so-called Christian folks, I really don't. And we'll pray on it. Yes, pray. Good. And now, and do something too. Do something. As y'all know, 100% of our donations goes to our scholarship fund for Beyond the Bling. Beyond the Bling is our financial freedom program for late bloomers like Rick and myself. So everything that we learned to go from negative 22,000 over 1.1 million is in that program. I have an announcement. Excuse me, since Dennis brought it up. We will be releasing the new version of Beyond the Bling in the beginning of August, August 1st. That's when it will roll out. Everybody who purchases before then will get the new version. Today's price is not tomorrow's price. Today's price is not tomorrow's price, right? And y'all know that the Side Hustle Challenge is already on sale. We will get to that at the end. All right, so what Bezos says was correct, because doubling the tax on someone who doesn't pay any is still zero. But that's not what he said. He said me paying billions more wouldn't make a difference. Yes, the hell it would. But yeah, if he said increasing my tax rate wouldn't make a difference, then yeah, because a zero tax rate is still a zero tax rate, right? Okay, she's out of Dodge. I love it. America creates conditions for poverty here and everywhere, right? That's what they do. Then criminalize the poor needing asylum or being refugees. That's exactly right. House sitting retiree is exactly right. Okay, so before any Black American fixes their lips to talk crap about the immigrants that come seeking asylum, et cetera, remember, the United States created the conditions in their country in the first place 8 to 9 times out of 10. Okay? And we, as citizens, are responsible for that. Because let me tell you, just think about Iran-Contra. We know about that. We know about that. We know that we played in Nicaragua. And yet we allowed nobody to pay the price. We allowed that. We allowed that to happen, okay? So we have some culpability here. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, to not ever, ever, ever have to be in debt again. Absolutely, right? We're going to talk about that. I used AmScot, and that was a financial trap. Oh, so I graduated to bigger ones online, and that was predatory. I've been in debt for a long time. They do not teach us about money. They do not teach us properly, because they just talk about the payments, and the credit score. And you already know that's not our philosophy. We don't believe in that, right? We don't purchase anything that we can't afford. Rick, are you back? Are you still frozen? I think he's still frozen. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, sweets. I do forget that, or I think don't forget, they are looking at the 14th Amendment, y'all, and to change the Constitution. That's why the aggressive gerrymandering is happening. Yes, yes, yes. Why are they trying to get rid of birthright citizenship? Why? Now, every country does not have it, but the United States has had it basically since the end of slavery. So why? And what does that mean for us? What does that mean for us? Somebody, you better be asking yourself these questions and putting yourself in a position so that no matter what the answer is, you got it. Okay? That's why we are here. We want everyone who is watching to be in the position that no matter what they do, you are going to be okay. Because they're doing something here. All those stores, payday loans, and all, right? They're all in minority communities. Hey, Allison, I don't like the word minority, so I don't use it. But yeah, they're all in communities of color, mostly Black communities, a lot of Latino communities, but they're all in communities of color. And trying to set my life up in Phuket, And Europe home and still costs less than my house here. Oh, so you luxury bucket list. It sounds like what she's saying is both her home in Phuket and Europe combined are less expensive than her house in the United States. That's what it sounds like she's saying. And I'm not surprised because for a lot of you, especially if you live in a major city, but what you are paying, what the average person is paying for rent or rent to live like you want to live, you could probably live off of that whole amount someplace else. So if your rent or that rent in your city is 2,500, and I say it that way because some people have had their houses for a long, long time, and so their mortgage is really cheap. But if they were to buy that house today, right, whatever that mortgage would be, just your mortgage alone, you could live off of that amount. Right? Because Rick and I, the basics are under 2,000 euro. Housing, utilities, all of that, transportation, the cell phones, all of that under 2,000 a month. Okay, so yeah, it's possible. You guys, look, don't be sleeping this. Do not be sleeping this. We have got to be the Harriet Tubmans of our families. Okay. You who are watching, you have to be. And you're going to have to convince. If you're with somebody who doesn't want to go, you're going to have to do some convincing. Black Americans live in a state of anxiety. We do, a constant state. Angie feels it. And we don't even realize that we're not even taking full breaths. You guys, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired? Right? This is not about money. It's about stress. It's about healthcare. It's about housing. It's about safety. It's about opportunity. It's about your future, right? And your children's future. Those people who left Europe to go to America were not saying, I can't leave my grandkids. Those Jewish folks who fled, am I being hyperbolic, y'all? They're building detention camps. Am I being hyperbolic? They are building detention camps. I'm sorry that all the coming in and going out. I'm sorry about that. And so be careful. Be careful. I want you to be the Harriet Tubman. I want you to find a utopia in another country that is not going to treat you like crap, that is not going to abuse you like an abusing spouse does, because that's what America does to the average Black American. Accept that reality. Accept it. Because your grandkids, your kids they are inheriting a much different world than we grew up in. That's number one. And number two, your grandkids could be inheriting a much better world than you could have imagined in another country. All right? So open your mind. Open your mind. The federal government says a family of four is not poor until they fall below $32,000. Now, I don't know where y'all live, but in Denver, Colorado, if a family of four is not bringing in about $75,000 a year, they're in poverty. They are not making ends meet. I'm sorry, they are not. They're not. They're going to have more month than they got money. That's what they're going to have, right? That is nothing, right? And so let's get to some solutions and then we're going to talk this out. So where are we? Hopefully we have erased your excuses. We've erased the myth that America is always the good guy, that America is so such a much. We have and have always been the villain. We have always been on the wrong side of history, always. Even in World War II, we were on the wrong side of history because how did we end it? We ended it by allowing a group of people to do to another group of people what were done to the Jews. I ain't gonna name names because I don't want to get demonetized, but y'all know who I'm talking about because they're doing the same stuff still today. That was what came out of World War II. Hmm. All right. So it's time to start building options. No politicians are coming to save us. They're just not. Right. So we have opened registration to the Side Hustle Challenge. We are only accepting a certain amount of people, 20 to 25 folks. Why? Because we go over every single action plan that gets submitted. Every single one, we give our feedback. We will take you from ideation to launch. It is time for you to start building income streams without borders. If you don't need income streams, there's no one, unless you have more than about $3 to $5 million cash. And when I say cash and stock in the bank, you need other income streams. I don't care how big of your pension you have. I don't care if your pension's $10,000 a month, because if it's a government pension, you're assuming that there's still going to be a government. If it is a corporate pension, there are laws right now that protect corporate pensions that the melon felon is trying to get rid of. Okay. So unless you got a lot of cash and stock, if you're just depending upon a pension, you need multiple income streams. You need money coming in from a lot of different ways because the world is a changing, right? And the good guys are not the good guys. And we're not going to hold on to myths anymore, right? That's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to take action. And we're going to realize that every single person who is watching has the capability to create income. They do not need to show up at somebody's W-2, somebody's job. You do not need to clock somebody's time clock. You don't. You don't. Okay? And we can show you how. That's what I used to do for a living, is show people how to grow businesses. And then you've seen what we've done with our Black Utopia. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about. I'll tell you a little bit more about the Side Hustle Challenge and who it is for. It's not for somebody to become an influencer. It's not for somebody to become a millionaire overnight. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. But it is an opportunity for you to create options, to create levers for streams of income that can turn into something huge if you want to work it. Okay. We will meet every single week for 10 weeks, every single week. Every other week, something will be due. If you are a person who is not tech savvy and not willing to learn, is not for you. We are going to teach you how to make money without borders, and we're going to teach you how to make money while you sleep, just like Rick and I do, which is why when I broke this leg, the cost never entered my mind. Now, of course, it helps that I'm in Europe and not in America, but still, I still knew that without getting it pre-approved, that we were going to have to pay in advance and then get reimbursed. So it is nice to know that I can swipe for 5,200, knowing that I'm going to pay it all off at the end of the month, regardless of whether our insurance company has reimbursed us yet or not. And we can do it without even feeling it, without even thinking about it. And we can do that because we understand how money works and how to manage our money. What we have learned is in Beyond the Bling. And because we know how to make money, and we don't have to be dependent on some white person to give us a job. We want you to have that same freedom. You need that same freedom. And you don't have to try to figure it out alone. You can take the shortcut, and the Side Hustle Challenge is the shortcut. Information is in the description below. And I think I can pull it up and put it in the chat right quick while I am pulling up your guys's chat. Okay, let me pull it up for you. It's hard when you're trying to do this by yourself and you're gimped up. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the chat right now. Where are they? Live. Here we go. All right, I just put it in there. So you guys, again, we only take 25 people. Okay, so don't wait. Please don't wait. There were about 78 people on the waiting list and about another 300 that said that they wanted to be alerted. So don't wait. I woke up a long time ago. Okay, we read that one. Okay, did we do it? Did we do it? Let's see. Let's go. Oh, I wasn't at the end. I thought I was at the end, y'all. Okay, I'm going to go down to the very end. I see you guys talking to each other. Thanks for saying it, Halisi. I didn't think about bringing that to our attention about the pensions, right? You guys, we have taken a lot of things for granted, those of us who are Gen Xers, because we grew up probably in one of the more stable times in history, one of the more prosperous times in history. And very, very quickly, the powers that be made sure that they brought it down to shit. See, who came? The Greta is the king of data. Whoever came up with these numbers is full of it. They're on drugs. They're smoking something. You and I know that you are in poverty much easier than those low numbers, right? Right? Folks are building bunkers, but we have Black folks talking about why they have to stay, while the president of the United States has knocked down half of the White House, is putting up some kind of tacky ass, arch ass, roller coaster looking bullshit while he's building a bunker underground. I'm sure Bezos and elongated muskrat already have their bunkers. Okay, stop playing around, you guys. We don't have bunker money. So it's time to get out of Dodge. It's time to get out of Dodge. We have until June 1st for a public response for them trying to change these laws about our pensions. Okay, see? Go to More Perfect Union to submit your public comment. Old people be knowing. Look, I watch a lot of stuff and then I read a lot, you guys. I read a lot. And sometimes I forget what I read where and what I heard where and this and that and the other. And I know which sources I can trust that I don't have to double check. And I know which ones I'm going to have to double check. I'm not sure what is going on with Rick's computer, you guys. But if it was going to happen, at least it happens with me having a brand new computer. Because see, and this is another thing. I dropped my other computer about 3 weeks before I broke my leg. Now, for our business, I have to have a computer, right? And so I went Apple Care and all of that, getting it fixed and waiting. I ain't got time for that. I do not have time. The next day, we went to the Apple store and I got a new laptop. Swipe, paid off, never thought about it. Because we don't waste money on bullshit. Now, you can look at I don't have a lot of clothes, right? I don't have a lot of clothes. I don't have a lot of name brands. Whatever name brands I had, I brought with me. I don't buy that stuff anymore, right? Things like that. Okay, that's the trade-off. I'd rather be able to just buy a new computer like that than have some red bottoms. And some folks can do both. That's not us. I'm keeping it real. That is not us. And I don't feel like working hard enough for it to be us. So you got to pick, you got to choose, right? As Paula Pan says, you can afford anything, just not everything. You can afford anything, just not everything. So I choose to have lots and lots of spare cash so that when things like this happen and I drop my computer was 6 years old anyway. If it was younger, I would have made arrangements with Apple Care, and maybe bought a computer that I plan on taking back, right? Because that's the thing about Apple; they'll let you return it for full cash within a certain amount of time. So I might have done that had it been newer, but it wasn't, and it was kind of giving me problems anyway. That's not the point. I didn't plan on spending $2,000 right then. I did not, but I had to, and I could. And it's nice to be able to without having to worry about it. When you know that, like, if the dollar goes down more, I know how to make more money. I want you to know that information too. Because no matter where you go, even if you're going to a lower cost of living, depending upon what the Mellon Felon does, depending upon what happens November 2026, the dollar is going to still keep dollaring and going down. And so for those of you who may have just been tuning in, just to let you know, when Rick and I first moved here, €1 equaled $1. No, I'm sorry. €1 equaled 98 cents. So it only took 98 cents to get you a euro. So the dollar was stronger than the euro when we first moved here by 2 pennies. I could have transferred so much money. Anyway, I didn't. I didn't because I was overly optimistic and arrogant and thought it would last. It did not. It is now down to somewhere, it has gone down to like 82 cents. 82 cents, right? So then that means it takes $1.17 or right, to get a euro. So that's 15% of your wealth gone like that. Boom, gone. And still, I swipe for 5,000 for my leg without blinking an eye. Swipe for my laptop without blinking an eye. And yes, we pay our credit card off in full every single month. Every single month without fail. I don't believe. I'm never getting in debt again. No. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. What else are you guys saying? All right, the USA is racist, violent, corrupt, greedy, violent country run by white supremacists. Yes, white, narcissistic supremacist. And I will never understand who cannot see that this country is toxic. I don't think they want to take us to the 20s, Wanda. I think they're trying to take us to the 1890s. These people are cray cray. They're talking about, and they've got white women on there talking about one vote per household. One person's going to vote for the whole household. Are you kidding me right now? Now, that would not work. That would not work. That would not work. Rick is still behind the scenes. He can hear me. He's trying to figure out what is going on with his computer. That would not work. Okay. Just Me Missy says, I'm working on being Harriet Tubman of my family. I'm feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And that's the thing, you guys. Okay. If I don't leave you with anything else, I want to leave you with this. What Rick and I did was not something that was spectacular. We were not being courageous when we did. Well, maybe we were being courageous, but we were scared. I'm going to tell you, when we made this move, we were scared. We did not have it all figured out, but we had created enough safety nets that we knew we had enough time to figure it out if things went awry, right? Y'all know we saved 2 years living expenses. That's what I needed to feel comfortable knowing that if stuff goes awry, like I was saying, they can take them government pensions away at any time, right? They're trying to, change the protections when it comes to the private pensions at any time. But with 2 years living expenses, I know I can figure stuff out in 2 years. I know I can. Okay. I could figure stuff out in a year, quiet as it's kept, right? Right. So, and you can too. Now, if I were 20 or 30, maybe, I don't know. But those of us 50 plus, we done some things. We done been around the block. We know some things. And we know some things that other people want to know. Okay. And so if you want to learn how to create income streams, real income streams, I'm not talking about millions, but I am talking about tens and 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 tens of thousands to 6 figures within a couple of years easily, if not sooner, seriously. Depending upon what you do, we can show you how. And it's not that easy. It's not that hard. Seriously, it is not that hard. Because I ain't about trying to work hard, you guys. I am not about that life. All right. So if you need help getting out of the United States, I see you guys in the chat. I'm going to give you all of the information. I want you to look down in the description of the video. Okay. Sometimes you'll have to click more, especially if you're looking on your phone. It's kind of tricky on your television. You will see the links to everything that I'm always talking about. Every time I say check below, that's where you find it, in the description below. Okay. Beyond the Bling, get in now. The new version comes out August 1st. August 1st. And today's price is not going to be tomorrow's price. I'm just telling you that right now. Everybody will get grandfathered in because that's how we roll. We're not really good capitalists in that regard. The Side Hustle Challenge is now open. We have only 20 to 25 seats. We're going to see how that goes. So you don't want to wait. If you like, I like the group coaching, Halisi. The community really helps, you guys. It really does help. But you want the shortcut, we do offer one-on-one coaching. That information is in the description below. And if you're still watching and you haven't hit that thumbs up, how come? Why come? Why come you haven't? And why come you haven't subscribed? We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. And I know y'all be watching, lurking around in the background, 50% of you, and you're not subscribed. Or maybe you think you're subscribed and you're not. Let us help you out. There are folks, if you're still watching and you're in the chat and you've had one-on-one coaching with us, let us know in the chat how that's gone, okay? Because I can tell you, there are people who thought it was going to take them 1.5 to 2 years to get out of debt. And after coaching with us, they got out of debt in 6 to 8 months. Yeah, like that, okay? Because we've done it, because we made all the mistakes. And because sometimes you need someone from the outside to look and show you what you're missing, show you your blind spots. We got you. All right. And we love you. Thank you guys. And we'll see you on Thursday. I don't know about you, but I think I want to hear some jamming music.
Not a dream, a destination. Our Black utopia.